It started with a vibration, soft, innocent, and buried beneath the sound of Mendeecees' laughter echoing from the living room. Yandy had been folding laundry, half watching a rerun of Love and Hip Hop in the background, when his phone lit up across the counter. She ignored it the first time, then it buzzed again. And again. The screen flashed with a name she hadn't seen in months. Erica. Her hands froze mid. The hum in the room seemed to shift, thickening the air. She tried to convince herself it was business, something about the show, or maybe a group text from production, but curiosity has a pulse of its own. Within seconds, she crossed the kitchen and picked up the phone. What she saw wasn't business. It was intimate. A thread of messages, playful emojis, inside jokes, late night times. One message read, "You still up?" followed by a heart. Another said, "Don't let Yandy catch you missing me again." Her breath caught. Her heartbeat quickened until it drowned out every other sound. She scrolled further. Voice notes, deleted replies, fragments of a conversation that told a story she didn't want to believe. Mendeecees' voice carried from the next room, laughing at something on TV, unaware that his entire piece was unraveling just 10 feet away. Yandy's reflection trembled in the screen of his phone. Her mind flashed through every interview where she'd defended him, every time she'd told the world their marriage was stronger than rumors. And now, the rumors were sitting right in her hand. She didn't scream. Not yet. She placed the phone down as if it might burn her fingers, then stared at it, her lips pressed into a tight line. Outside, a siren wailed somewhere in the city. Inside, another kind of alarm had gone off, the kind that no one can silence. By the time Mendeecees walked into the kitchen, grinning, asking if she'd seen his charger, Yandy's entire body had changed. Her voice came out slow, measured, dangerous. "Yeah," she said. "I saw more than that." His smile faltered. "What you talking about?" She turned the phone toward him, screen glowing with Erica's messages. The light reflected in his eyes. The silence that followed was sharper than any shout. Within minutes, the house erupted. Doors slammed, accusations flew. Neighbors probably heard her voice rise and fall like thunder. Fans wouldn't find out until later, when snippets hit social media, when a live video surfaced showing Yandy pacing, mascara streaked, saying words that no one thought she'd ever say on camera. "After everything we've been through, and you let her back in our lives." The internet caught fire. Within hours, #YandySnaps trended. Clips of her live spread across TikTok and Twitter. People dissected every expression, every word. Some said she overreacted. Others said she finally saw what everyone else had been seeing for years. And in the middle of that chaos, one question echoed louder than the rest: was this the end of Yandy and Mendeecees, or the beginning of their most explosive chapter yet? Under the dull glow of the kitchen light, Mendeecees stood frozen, the air thick with tension so heavy it pressed on his chest. Yandy's eyes locked on him, unblinking, her hands trembling but steady enough to hold the phone like evidence in a courtroom. He tried to speak, but his throat felt dry. "It's not what it looks like," he said, voice cracking halfway through the sentence. She laughed, sharp, bitter, nothing like the sound he was used to. "You really about to use that line on me? After all the men I've watched say that on this show? After everything we built?" He reached out, but she pulled back, her body stiff with disbelief. "Don't touch me," she snapped. "You and Erica? Again? You think I don't remember how messy it got last time? You think I forgot the reunion when she said she wasn't the only one who wanted you?" Her words cut through him like glass. He lowered his head, rubbing his temples. "It wasn't like that. She hit me up about some brand stuff. I swear, I didn't even respond to half of it." Yandy held up the phone, scrolling fast. "Half of it? So this heart emoji is business. This miss talking to you message, that's about brand stuff." Her voice shook, not from weakness but from rage that had been building for years. He took a deep breath, but the excuses he tried to form fell apart before reaching his tongue. "You think I don't know how this game works, Mendeecees? I've been in it longer than you. I've dealt with producers, rumors, fake drama, real drama, but this right here, this ain't TV. This is our life." He tried to keep his voice calm. "Baby, please. You know how people twist things. Erica just likes attention. She knows how to stir stuff up. You can't let her get between us again." But she wasn't hearing it. She turned away, pacing, her hair brushing her shoulders with each step. "No, see, this isn't about her. This is about you. She can't get between us unless you open the door. And you opened it. You always do. You leave just enough space for her to slide in." His patience thinned. "You acting like I cheated." She spun around, eyes blazing. "You might as well have." The silence that followed was so tense it could have cracked the walls. The faint hum of the refrigerator filled the gap between them. Outside, cars passed, their headlights flickering through the blinds like flashes of paparazzi cameras. Mendeecees exhaled and looked down, avoiding her stare. Yandy, I love you. You know that. We've been through prison, business problems, family drama. You really think I'd risk all that for some texts? You already did, she said softly, voice breaking. You risked my trust. Again. She left the kitchen, walking down the hall, the floor creaking under her steps. Mendeecees followed her, muttering, "Come on. Don't walk away from me like that." She turned abruptly. "Walk away. I've stood by you through every headline, every mugshot, every rumor, every tear, and you think I owe you one more chance?" He sighed, dragging his hand across his face. "You acting like I'm some villain? You know Erica Messi. She probably sent those messages just to start something." But the truth was written all over his body language, his shoulders slumped, his eyes darting away from hers, his fingers fidgeting. He didn't have control over this narrative anymore. She did. Yandy grabbed her jacket off the couch, her movements sharp. "You can lie to me, Mendeecees, but don't lie to my face and expect me to smile for the cameras tomorrow. I'm not your storyline. I'm your wife." Before he could respond, the front door slammed. The echo lingered, vibrating through the house. He stood there for a long moment, then sat on the couch, staring at the phone still open on the kitchen counter. Within hours, social media picked up whispers. Someone had gone live from outside their building. A muffled argument was heard. "Yandy out here yelling about Erica," one tweet said. Another user claimed they saw Erica posting cryptic stories. Some people never move on. They just hide it better. The internet was eating it up. Meanwhile, Yandy drove aimlessly through Atlanta, her thoughts spiraling. She replayed their history in her mind, the visits during his time inside, the kids asking where daddy was, the long nights building a brand together, defending their marriage when the world mocked it. And now, all it took was a few messages to make her question everything. She pulled over near a park and called Kendra. Her voice cracked. "Girl, I don't even know what to do right now. I found messages from Erica." Kendra's tone shifted instantly. "Wait, Erica Mena? The same Erica from that reunion mess?" "The same one," Yandy said bitterly. "And the worst part, he looked me in the face and said it was nothing." Kendra exhaled loudly. "Yandy, you know how these men are. They think a message don't count if they delete half of it, but if you feel it in your gut, it's something." "I can't do this again," Yandy whispered. "I built my piece back from scratch, and now it's like he's dragging me right back into the chaos." "You need to confront Erica too," Kendra said. "You know she's gonna run her mouth and twist it her way before you even speak your truth." Yandy hesitated. "I don't want to give her that power, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's time she heard from me directly." By the next morning, screenshots had leaked. Nobody knew who sent them, but a gossip blog posted them with the caption, "Mendeecees and Erica back in contact." Yandy reportedly furious. Comments flooded in. Some fans defended her. Others dragged both of them. "She should have known better," one wrote. "Once a cheater, always a cheater," said another. Inside their house, Mendeecees scrolled through the comments, face pale. He called her. No answer. He texted. Nothing. Hours later, he showed up at her office, where she was filming a promo. She saw him walk in and told her team to step out. "You really leaked our business to the blogs," he said, voice low but tense. She laughed. Voice low but tense. She laughed. "Hollow me. You think I got time to leak something you caused? I'm too busy cleaning up the mess you made." He stepped closer. "I told you I didn't do anything wrong, but you go live. You post cryptic stuff. And now everybody think I'm some dog again." "If the shoe fits," she said quietly. He clenched his jaw. "So that's what we doing now. Public humiliation. You humiliated me the moment you started replying to her." The tension between them thickened. She crossed her arms, staring him down. "You remember when I told you honesty was all I needed? This right here. This is why I stopped believing you even when you tell the truth." He sighed, dropping his tone. "Yandy, you my partner. I don't want nobody else. Not Erica, not nobody. You think I'd risk losing my family over some texts? You already lost it," she said, her voice trembling. "You just don't know it yet." Outside the glass doors, someone filmed them through the reflection. By the time they noticed, it was too late. Another clip hit the internet, this time showing Yandy pointing at him, angry, while he tried to calm her down. The caption read, "Exclusive. Yandy confronts Mendeecees at her office after catching him texting Erica Mena." That video hit 1 million views in 2 hours. The comments turned savage. "She deserves better. He always playing the victim. Erica probably loving this." And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, Erica finally broke her silence with a single story. "Don't blame me for what was already broken." Yandy saw it. and something inside her snapped again. This time, she wasn't going to cry. This time, she was going to speak. She opened her own live stream that night, her face calm but her tone sharp. Everybody wants to know what happened. She began. Let's just say, when you find messages that make you question your marriage, you start to realize who's really for you and who's for the cameras. The comments exploded. Drop the receipts. We got your back, Yandy. Is she talking about Erica? And behind the camera, Mendeecees watched from another room, knowing the story had already left his hands. What had started as private had now turned into public entertainment, and this time, even he didn't know how to fix it. The live ended, but the storm didn't. Within an hour, blogs began dissecting every second of Yandy's stream. Slow-motion clips of her wiping her eyes, screenshots of her quotes, comparisons to old episodes. Fans turned detectives overnight. Hashtags flooded timelines. Hashtag T, my Yandy. Hashtag boy by Mendeecees. Hashtag Erica did it again. On Twitter, a post read, "You could tell she's done for real this time. That look wasn't acting." Meanwhile, Erica was in Miami, sitting by a pool with her phone in one hand and a smirk on her face. She refreshed her mentions, half amused, half irritated. "Here we go again," she muttered, calling her friend Sierra. "Girl, the internet acting like I broke up a marriage I didn't even know was still working." Sierra laughed. "You messy, but you know what you doing. You post at the perfect time." "I ain't post nothing bad," Erica said, sipping her drink. "I just said what was true. Don't blame me for what's broken. That ain't my fault. Mendeecees texted me first." "Anyway, wait, he did text you first?" "Yeah, he hit me up about some event, said it was business. I didn't think nothing of it until he started acting all flirty. Then he goes. Next thing I know, his wife blowing up online." Sierra shook her head. "Girl, you playing with fire. That woman don't play when it comes to her man." "Please," Erica said, rolling her eyes. Yandy built her brand on being the loyal wife. She gonna forgive him, cry on camera, and keep it moving. They always do. But this time, she was wrong. Yandy wasn't planning to forgive anything. Back in Atlanta, Yandy sat with her manager, Lisa, going through the PR fallout. "This is bad," Lisa said, scrolling through her tablet. "Brands are watching. Sponsors are asking if you and Mendeecees are doing another couple campaign or if they should pause." Yandy leaned back, tired. "Pause it. I'm not pretending for nobody. I'm not doing fake love for a check." "Are you sure?" Lisa asked carefully. "We talking about 6 figures?" Yandy's voice hardened. "I'm sure." As she spoke, her phone buzzed again. Another message from Mendeecees. "Can we talk? Please. Just us." She stared at it for a long moment before typing back, "Come to the studio tomorrow, but don't expect me to smile." The next day, they met in the quiet part of the production lot. The cameras weren't rolling yet, but producers knew this confrontation would be gold once it did. They pretended to be busy nearby, setting up lights that weren't even plugged in. Mendeecees walked in wearing a hoodie and sunglasses, avoiding her eyes. "You wanted to talk," he said. She folded her arms. "You think I wanted to? You put me in this position. Again. I told you it wasn't like that." "Then explain the messages," she said. "Explain why she's sitting in Miami calling me bitter while you out here acting like you a victim." He took off his glasses, finally meeting her gaze. "I made a mistake," responding. "Okay. I didn't think it through. I didn't think it'd blow up like this." "You never think it through," she said. "You just do what feels good in the moment, and leave me to clean it up after." His jaw tightened. "So that's what you think I am now? Some careless man you can't trust?" "You made me think that," she snapped. "Every time I start to breathe, you pull me back into chaos." He stepped closer, lowering his tone. "I messed up. I know that, but you know me, Yandy. You know my heart. I don't want Erica. I don't want nobody but you." She looked at him, eyes glassy but defiant. "Then why do I keep ending up alone while you out here not wanting other people?" He didn't answer. She turned away, biting back tears. From a few feet away, a production assistant pretended to check sound levels while secretly recording the moment. Within 2 days, the clip leaked. The edit was brutal. It cut right after, she said, "You keep saying you love me, but I don't feel loved." It ended with him standing silent, looking guilty. The video went viral. Erica reposted it with a single laughing emoji. That was the spark that lit the next explosion. Yandy saw it while getting her hair done for a brand shoot. She stood up, mid-appointment, grabbed her bag, and walked out. Within an hour, she was at Erica's event in Midtown. Cameras swarmed, fans whispered, and security looked nervous. Yandy pushed through the crowd, calm but fierce. Erica spotted her from across the room and smiled like she'd been expecting it. "Well, if it isn't Mrs. Harris herself." "Don't start," Yandy said, stepping close. You want to play innocent online, but you know exactly what you did. Oh, please, Erica said, sipping her drink. Your man texted me, not the other way around, and you could have ignored it. And you could have kept him happy enough not to text me. Erica shot back. Gasps filled the room. Phones went up. Flashes popped. Yandy's voice dropped low. You love attention so bad you'll use my pain for likes. I should thank you, though you just reminded me who I'm dealing with. Erica's expression shifted. Girl, don't come at me like you perfect. Half the cast know your marriage, Ben Rocky. I'm just the one who got blamed for it. Blamed? Yandy said, stepping even closer. No one blamed you. You earned it. Security finally stepped in as the two women glared at each other. Their words caught on dozens of phones. Later that night, every gossip site posted the clip. Yandy confronts Erica Mina face-to-face things. Get ugly. The video exploded online. Fans debated whose side to take. One comment read, Erica messy, but she told no lies. Another said Yandy too classy to fight, but she should have slapped her anyway. By midnight, Mendeecees called, both women, frustrated. This gone too far. Y'all turning my mistake into a TV season. You started it, Yandy said. You finished it, Erica added. He hung up, sitting alone in his car. The weight of everything hit him at once. His wife's tears, Erica's smirk, the cameras, the blogs, the fans. He tried to scroll through his messages, searching for something normal, something quiet. But all he saw were tags and mentions tearing his name apart. The next morning, producers called him. We need a sit-down. One said, you, Yandy, Erica, the network's already prepping it. He groaned. Man, y'all turning my marriage into a circus. The circus pays. Bro. The producer replied bluntly. And right now, you're the main act. He hung up without replying, staring out the window. Atlanta traffic crawled past, the city alive and unaware of how fast his own world was falling apart. That night, he drove to their house, hoping to talk again. Yandy opened the door, her expression tired but calm. You here to talk or to justify? Talk, he said quietly. She let him in. The kids were asleep. The house smelled of lavender candles and tension. They sat opposite each other on the couch. I don't even know who we are anymore, she said. We used to be solid. We used to move as one. Now, it's like we're strangers trying to prove something to the internet. He nodded slowly. You right. I lost focus. I thought I could handle it, all the fame, the business, the noise. But I see now. I've been neglecting what really matters. She looked down. And what's that? You, he said simply. For the first time in days. She didn't respond with anger. She just stared at him, silent, weighing every word. But before the air could soften, her phone buzzed again. Another notification. Every word. But before the air could soften, her phone buzzed again. Another notification. Another headline. Sources say Mendeecees still in contact with Erica despite apology. She turned the screen toward him. You really done? Huh. His face drained of color. That's not true, he said quickly. She texted me, not the other way around. Yandy stood, shaking her head. Every time I try to believe you, something new shows up. Maybe it's not her, maybe it's you. And just like that, the small piece of hope between them cracked again. Outside, the night hummed with the sound of cicadas, and inside, two people who once swore forever couldn't even look each other in the eye. The morning after that last notification felt like a courtroom inside their home. The light came in thin and gray, the kind of light that makes everything look colder. Yandy moved through the kitchen like a lawyer building a case. Quiet, precise, gathering tiny pieces of normal life cereal bowls. A damp dish towel. The bills on the counter while her mind lined up every red flag she had ignored in the name of peace. Mendeecees stood near the doorway, hands inside his hoodie pocket, eyes following her like he was trying to predict when the next hit would land. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Silence collected in the corners. When he finally did talk, his voice was low. He said he wanted to fix it. He said he was ready to do anything. She nodded as if she had heard that sentence 100 times from 100 men on camera. But this wasn't camera. This was their kitchen. She told him plainly that wanting to fix a thing and fixing a thing were not the same. Then she asked if he had anything else to tell her before more headlines told it for him. He started to shake his head, then stopped, which told her more than a confession could. She watched the hesitation travel across his face like a shadow. She told him to sit. He stayed standing. The doorbell broke the pause. Lisa stepped in. All business, with a folder and a warning. The network had locked in the sit-down. A therapist was attached. Security would be tight. The episode number had already been picked. In other words, the story now had a production schedule. Yandy gave a thin smile that did not touch her eyes and said she would be there on time. Mendeecees asked if Erica had agreed. Lisa said Erica had more than agreed. She had sent over timestamps, a calendar invite, and a makeup artist. As soon as Lisa left, Yandy's phone buzzed again, and this time it wasn't a headline. It was a voice note from an unknown number. 22 seconds. She pressed play. A woman's voice, muffled, close to the mic, said, "Tell her the truth or I will." The note ended. Her hand tightened around the phone. She replayed it. Same message, same threat. She looked up. "Who is that?" she asked. He swore he did not know. She saved the number anyway and texted back one word. "Who?" No answer. By midday, the blogs had new material. Someone posted photos of Yandy at the Midtown event the night before, standing nose to nose with Erica, both of them too composed to be calm and too still to be harmless. The captions were predictable. The comments were not. Fans were split in a way that felt personal. Some said Yandy had been carrying a marriage on her back for years. Others said she loved the image of loyalty more than the work of it. A few said what no one wanted to hear, that both things could be true at the same time. The family group chats spun harder than the timeline. Cousins called. An aunt prayed into a voicemail. His mother left a message that started gentle and ended stern. "Protect your house," she said. "You hear me? Protect your house." By late afternoon, they were both at the studio where the sit-down would happen. The therapist was there early, quiet, organized, with a notebook that made no sound when it opened. Producers hovered like ghosts pretending to be furniture. Yandy sat upright, chin high. Mendeecees sat forward, hands clasped, jaw set. When the red light warmed on the camera, the room changed. You could feel it. Eyes sharpened. Voices lost their extra words. The therapist asked them to state what hurt in one sentence. Yandy said betrayal without apology. Mendeecees said being seen as a villain when I'm trying. The therapist nodded and asked them both to breathe. Neither did. The questions were simple and hard. When did the messages start? Who reached out first? When did each of them feel the ground shift under their marriage? Every answer had another answer inside it. For a moment, while he talked about the pressure of being the man he used to be for people who thought they knew him, something in his voice wavered and it almost made her soften. Then the therapist asked about Erica and the soft place froze again. He looked at the table when he said her name. The therapist asked why. He said habit. The therapist said whose habit? He said mine. Halfway through, a producer handed the therapist a tablet. New leak. He whispered, apologizing with his eyes while not apologizing at all. The therapist glanced at the screen, then set it face down and asked if either of them had anything else to disclose before the outside world did it for them. Yandy stared at Mendeecees. Mendeecees stared at the table. The therapist gave them a minute alone and stepped out. The cameras stayed. The mics stayed. The minute stretched. Yandy asked again about the unknown number. He said he would find out. She reminded him that if he had nothing to hide, there would be nothing to find. He said he had been trying to keep peace. She said hiding and keeping peace were not synonyms. He asked if they could start over. She asked from where. The door opened. Not the therapist. Erica Camaretti, eyes cool. Smile polite in the way a warning can feel polite. Security moved in a step too late to be useful and a step too early to be necessary. She said she had been invited, which was true. She said she was here for closure, which was not. She took a seat opposite them, and the air thinned to a wire. The therapist came back, composed, like this had always been the plan. The network loved symmetry. So did chaos. The first minutes between the three of them were strange, careful, like strangers trapped at the same small table in a crowded restaurant. Then it warmed into something real. Erica said he had texted first about an event that did not need her. He said it was mutual. Yandy reminded him that mutual was not innocent. Erica said she had not crossed a line. Yandy said the line moves when you push it with your foot. Erica laughed in that way that holds a blade. Fans are shocked. Someone would later type, because nobody blinked. The therapist asked Erica if her messages had been meant to harm a marriage. Erica said her messages had been meant to answer a phone. The therapist asked if she enjoyed the attention. Erica said attention enjoyed her. The therapist turned to Mendeecees and asked what he had hoped to get by engaging. He said someone to talk to who was not asking him to be perfect. The sentence landed between them like a small explosion. Yandy inhaled, steady, and said that asking a partner to be honest is not the same as asking him to be perfect. He looked like he heard it for the first time, which made her even angrier because she had said it 1,000 times. Then the unknown number texted again. This time both their phones pinged at once because producers had synced the devices to monitor incoming leaks. The text said, "Check your cloud." There was a link. Lego said, "Do not click." The therapist asked them both to breathe again. This time they did. Barely. Lisa stepped in, whispered to Yandy that a tech would pull the account logs. Yandy nodded without taking her eyes off Erica. The therapist asked everyone to say what they needed in order to move forward. Erica said, her name cleared. Yandy said the truth. All of it. Mendeecees, a chance. The therapist wrote those words down as if writing them could make them stick. The sit-down ended without a resolution that could be edited into a bow. Outside the studio, a small crowd had gathered, phones up, ready for a sign that the scene inside had broken into a fight. It hadn't. The fight was quieter than that. The fight was a house with its windows closed while a storm peeled at the corners. Hours later, the tech pulled the logins. An old iPad, still signed into his account, had been used to forward messages to a third number. Two-factor prompts showed up in the history like fingerprints. The same third number matched the voice note. When Lisa traced it through a contact at the network, it routed back to a line purchased by someone on a prepaid plan 3 weeks earlier in Queens. The date mattered. It was the week before the first text. The shape of the setup started to show. Yandy held the printout like a map. She walked it into the bedroom where he sat half asleep with the TV on mute, the reflection of a game bouncing across the wall. She put the paper on his lap. He read. His face went hard in sections. He swore he hadn't set anything up, and she believed him on that part because sloppy was not his style. And this was surgical. He asked who would want to do this. She said, Count. An old manager, a hungry blogger, a bitter ex-friend, a castmate who needed a season, a stranger with time and a laptop. He went quiet. Then he said a name she had not expected. Her eyebrows rose. She said, why would she? He told her. It made a broken kind of sense. The next morning brought a new twist. A clip leaked from a rehearsal space where Erica had been the week before. Camera off but mic hot. In it, she laughed about how easy it was to make headlines with the right timing and the right word. She never said his name. She didn't have to. The implication did the work. The family was left divided. His side said trap. Her side said pattern. Friends picked corners. Brand deals paused again and then called back with smaller numbers and careful language about brand deals paused again and then called back with smaller numbers and careful language. Brand safety. Like grief wearing a suit. Kendra came by with coffee and something like a plan. No camera talk. She promised. Just woman to woman. She told Yandy to get ahead of the next leak by owning what she could and refusing what she must. She told her not to let the internet decide which version of her would be remembered this week. She told her to pick a path and walk it without turning around to explain. It sounded like advice and also like a dare. That afternoon, Yandy called a family meeting. Not TV family. Real family. Living room. No phones, no notes. She explained as much as could be explained without putting adult weight on young shoulders. She said love was not perfect but it had rules. She said trust was a wall you build for a decade and can punch a hole through in a minute. She said they were going to be okay because she said they were going to be okay. The room listened. The smallest nods meant the most. Later, after bedtime, she stood in the hallway longer than she needed, just to hear the steady breath that meant life moved even when the plot tried to stop it. That night, Erica posted a photo without a caption. The ring light in her eyes looked like a target. The comments did the rest. She followed it with a live where she said she never wanted their marriage and never needed their mess. The live cut out at the exact second a notification flashed across her screen from the same prepaid number. A blogger caught the frame and zoomed. The internet did what it does. By morning, 3 new theories had born themselves, each with a thread, a diagram, and a stranger who sounded sure. Mendeecees asked to take her to breakfast far from Atlanta, a place without cameras and with pancakes. She said yes, which surprised them both. They drove in near silence until the city thinned into trees. He talked about the boy he had been and the man he was trying to be, and how the space between them could swallow a marriage if you let it. She listened without smiling. He said he did not want to be the reason their children learned the wrong lesson about promises. She told him the lesson had already arrived. The question was whether he would rewrite it. The unknown number texted again while they waited for the check. Meet me if you want the whole story, it said. Sending an address near a studio, most people did not know the network rented when it needed to build a room that could be anywhere. She looked at him. He looked at her. Both of them were tired of being led by a message, but both of them knew that not going would itch at them like a splinter. They went. The address led them to a rehearsal stage dressed as an apartment. Hardwood rolled onto concrete, a fake plant in a real pot, a couch that had never felt a body fall asleep. A woman stepped out from behind a flat wall. She wore production black and the posture of someone who had worked too many 14-hour days. She said she was a coordinator. She said she had something to show them. Then she placed an iPad on the fake coffee table and hit play. On the screen, a rehearsal clip caught a different day. A different fight. Two castmates trading lines the way some people trade blows. Off camera, voices joked about how to keep a story alive when it should have died last season. Then, clear as daylight, a voice named a plan that sounded exactly like the one that had swallowed their week. Reach out, make it light, nudge it forward with a laugh. Wait for the wife to see, let the world do the rest. The voice belonged to no one in the room and everyone in the room. That is how plans work when they are everyone's and no one's. Who recorded this? Yandy asked. The coordinator hesitated. Then said she had been asked to cut it into a sizzle for a development deck and later told to forget it existed. She had not forgotten. She had kept a copy because she had seen marriages break themselves and did not like watching other people break them for sport. Why now? Yandy asked. The coordinator said the unknown number was hers and the voice note was hers and she was tired of being the quiet one in a loud business. Yandy sat back, dizzy with a new kind of anger that felt like clarity. Mendeecees stared at the screen as if he could reverse it by looking hard enough. The coordinator said she did not want money and did not want fame. She wanted the truth to stand up on its own 2 feet for once. She slid a small envelope across the table with printouts of logs and a simple handwritten note that said, "Start with this." Outside, the evening had cooled. The air had that clean bite it gets after a rain. They stood in the parking lot without speaking. Then he said he was sorry again, and this time the word did not sound like a habit. She said sorry was not a bridge but it was a plank. And sometimes a plank keeps you out of the water long enough to reach land. He nodded, not trusting his voice. The next leak hit before they had driven a mile. A still from the rehearsal clip with the caption, "They never show you the rehearsal." Fans were shocked again. And then they were something else. Awake. The comments moved from gossip to strategy. People asked bigger questions out loud about what counts as real, about how you protect a marriage when your life is content, about who collects the pieces when the scene wraps and the lights shut down. Back home, the house felt different. Not healed. Different. Yandy brewed tea. She did not drink. He sat on the edge of the couch with the envelope open like a small, fragile door. They did not touch. They did not fight. They sat in the kind of quiet that has room inside it for decisions. In that space, she told him what she would need if she was going to try again. Weekly counseling, separate from cameras, full access without rolling eyes, boundaries that meant boundaries, a public acknowledgement without spin. He said yes before she finished. She told him not to say yes fast. He said he was not trying to be fast. He was trying to be exact. Then the doorbell rang again. And this time it wasn't Lisa or a delivery or a cousin with a casserole. It was someone whose presence at their door meant the next wave was already building and the tide had not finished with them yet. The person at the door was Scrappy. He had that look he always carried when he knew too much, but didn't want to say it first. His hoodie was pulled low, his eyes sharp. "Yo, Yandy, we need to talk," he said, stepping past Mendeecees before anyone invited him in. The tension that had been simmering between husband and wife snapped back into full flame. "Talk about what?" Yandy asked, folding her arms. Scrappy sighed, dropping onto the couch. "Look, I ain't trying to stir nothin', but the street's talking. And when the streets talk about y'all, it's never good." He looked at Mendeecees, somebody feeding info to a blogger. Same one who leaked that rehearsal clip. They got more. And it ain't random. Yandy frowned. "So what? This is still part of that setup." "Maybe," Scrappy said, "but the name I heard ain't who y'all think." Mendeecees leaned forward. "Who?" Scrappy hesitated. "Rumor says it came from somebody close to Erica, but not Erica. Her new manager. He's got connects at the network. Real shady ones. I don't know why, but they wanted your name back in the headlines." Yandy let out a sharp laugh. "So we just free marketing now? My marriage is a storyline for somebody else's hustle." Scrappy nodded slowly. "Yeah. And they making money off every repost, every clip, every reaction y'all give them." Mendeecees stood, pacing. "Nah, see, this what I'm talking about. They keep dragging us back into this circus, we trying to fix things, and people out there turning it into a payday. You let them," Yandy said quietly. He froze midst. "You gave them something to work with. They couldn't sell a story if it didn't look true." Scrappy raised his hands. "Look, I just thought y'all should know. I can try to find out who's paying that blogger if you want." "Do it," Yandy said. "I'm done playing defense." After Scrappy left, the silence came back heavier. Mendeecees rubbed his face, mumbling something about how everything always circles back. Yandy went to the kitchen, opened a drawer, and pulled out a folder of old papers. screenshots, contracts, notes from their previous PR nightmare. She spread them across the table. "You see this?" she said. "Every time we climb out, something drags us down. And somehow, it's always a woman with a motive and a man who didn't mean it." He didn't argue. He just nodded. Later that night, while the kids slept, Yandy got another message, this time not from the unknown number, but from an anonymous email. Subject line, "Proof." Inside, a video file with no description. She hesitated before opening it, then pressed play. The clip showed a conversation between two production assistants at the network. One said, "They gonna eat this up? You see the views on that Yandy Erica mess?" The other laughed. "Yeah, the higher-ups already talking about a spin-off. They think she'll stay mad just long enough to make season gold." Yandy watched the clip twice, then sent it to Lisa. Lisa replied one line, "Save this. Do not post yet." Meanwhile, Erica went live again, this time crying. "I didn't mean for any of this to go this far," she said between sniffs. "People twisting everything. I never wanted to hurt her." Her comments flooded with sympathy. Even some fans started switching sides. "She sounds genuine," one wrote. "Maybe it was all production." When Yandy saw it, she laughed bitterly. Production, don't send heart emojis at 2 a.m. Still, something about the tears made her pause. Not because she believed them, but because she knew how easily pain could be repackaged. Because she believed them, but because she knew how easily pain could be repackaged and sold. She had done it herself before. Different story, same industry. The line between reality and performance had vanished years ago, and now it was swallowing her whole. The next day, Lisa called. "The network wants to meet. Privately." "What for?" "They're worried this is getting out of hand. They want to talk resolution before sponsors pull." Yandy agreed to go, but she wasn't going alone. Mendeecees went with her, dressed sharp but tired. The meeting was in a glass-walled conference room with too much coffee and too little sincerity. Executives sat with folded hands, talking about narratives and public perception while she sat there, thinking about betrayal and exhaustion. One of them said, "Yandy, we know this has been tough, but you're strong. The audience loves your resilience. If we can pivot this into a redemption arc. She interrupted. "You mean make me look like the woman who forgives again so y'all can sell another season?" The room went quiet. "We're not props," she said. "We're people. And I'm not cashing pain checks anymore." Mendeecees looked at her, proud but also scared, because he knew this meant burning bridges they couldn't rebuild. When they left, she told him she wanted out of the storyline, out of the public chaos. "If we're going to fix this," she said, "we do it off camera or not at all." He nodded, finally understanding that this wasn't just about Erica or a few texts, it was about survival. That night, they unplugged the cameras in the house, shut down filming, and disappeared for 3 days. No posts, no statements, nothing. The internet went wild. Rumors spread that they had split for good, that Yandy had flown out to New York, that Mendeecees was staying with a friend. Nobody knew anything, and that was exactly how she wanted it. On the 4th day, they reappeared, quietly, at a family charity event. No PDA, no smiles for the cameras, just presence. Reporters shouted questions, but neither answered. Fans were left guessing. Behind the scenes, Scrappy called again. "Yo, I got the info you wanted," he said. "That blogger, he's been getting paid directly from the network's digital arm. They using burner accounts, but the routing traces back to a promo fund." Yandy's stomach dropped. "So they did all this. They planted it, stirred it, leaked it." Scrappy sighed. "Yeah." Every headline was marketing. They never cared who it hurt. She hung up and turned to Mendeecees. "They built this mess to keep us famous." He looked at her with tired eyes. "So what we do now?" she said. "We tell the truth but our way." The next morning, Yandy recorded her own message. No glam, no lighting, just her and the camera. She started slow.com. "People been saying a lot about me, my husband, and another woman. I stayed quiet because I thought silence would protect peace. But now I see silence only protects lies." She paused, then added, "So here's the truth. This wasn't an accident. This was a setup. They wanted to see a black family fall apart for views, and we almost gave it to them." Her video hit 10 million views in a day. Fans flooded the comments with support. "This is why we love her. She told it like it is. Protect Yandy at all costs." Even Erica posted a response. "She's right about one thing, the show made all of us puppets. I'm done too." For once, the drama didn't end with tears or a fight. It ended with a line drawn in permanent ink. The noise didn't stop overnight, but something inside Yandy did, something that had been chasing approval for too long. She realized the story had never been about who texted who. It was about who controlled the narrative. And now, for the first time, that power was hers. The days that followed her video felt different. The city still whispered, the blogs still speculated, but the noise had lost its teeth. There was a stillness that felt like strength rather than silence. Yandy woke early, made breakfast without cameras, watching her slice fruit. Watched her children laugh like the world hadn't cracked open 2 weeks before. Mendeecees joined them, quieter than usual, but present in a way he hadn't been for years. He helped with plates, wiped syrup from the table, and when their youngest dropped a fork, he bent to pick it up before the clatter finished echoing. Small things, but small things are where rebuilding begins. Outside, the internet was still on fire. The video had changed the tone. Hashtags that once mocked her had shifted to praise. Hashtag Yandy trended. Interviews requested her side, but she declined every one. Her refusal made her story louder. People were quoting her line, "Silence only protects lies," as if it were scripture. Brands called, offering redemption campaigns and documentary pitches. Lisa filtered every email, replying the same way each time. "She's not available for comment." Mendeecees spent those days in a different kind of quiet. He worked out, stayed off social media, and filled the empty space with apologies that didn't sound rehearsed. At night, they sat on opposite ends of the couch watching old movies they used to laugh through when things were simple. Sometimes they spoke, sometimes they didn't. Once, halfway through a film, he said, "You were right about everything." She didn't answer. Her silence wasn't anger anymore. It was assessment. Trust doesn't return with words. It returns with consistency. On the 5th night, a text came, not from a burner, not from Erica, but from an unknown network number. "We'd like to offer you full creative control over your own spin-off. Your narrative, your story, your terms." She read it twice, then slid the phone across the table. Mendeecees looked at it, then at her. "What you think?" he asked. "I think they scared," she said. "They finally realized they can't control what they can't predict." "You gonna take it?" "No," she said simply. "I'm done performing pain. I'm not giving them another season of my struggle." The next day, she met Lisa in a small Atlanta cafe. Sunglasses low, hood up. Lisa smiled, proud. "They thought you'd break. Instead, you broke them." She handed Yandy a folder. Inside were numbers, engagement stats, viewership spikes, brand data. "You know what's crazy?" Lisa said, "You got more traction telling the truth for free than they did producing lies for $1 million. Yandy nodded. "Truth always costs less." She sipped her coffee, "But it hurts more getting there." Meanwhile, across town, Erica was facing her own fallout. The network had quietly pulled her upcoming feature episodes. Her manager, the same one rumored to have orchestrated the leaks, was suddenly unreachable. Her posts turned somber, stripped of gloss. One caption read, "Sometimes we get so lost, chasing relevance, we forget our reflection is watching." Fans commented, "This feels like the real her." Others were less kind. The sympathy she had briefly gained was slipping again, and for once, she didn't fight it, she just logged off. By the end of the week, gossip shows aired montages titled "From Chaos to Clarity," the Yandy Harris story. They replayed every high and low, narrating her strength like it was entertainment, missing the irony completely. But for the first time, she didn't flinch seeing her own face on a screen. She knew what was real now, and what wasn't. One afternoon, while driving through the city, her phone rang. It was His voice sounded lighter. "You near Frost's place?" he asked. "Meet me there." Confused but curious, she agreed. When she arrived, she found him standing outside a small community center under renovation. A group of teens were painting the walls, music playing from a Bluetooth speaker. He smiled. "I've been thinking. We keep saying we want to change the narrative. So let's do it. We buy this place. Make it something real. A studio for kids, a safe space, mentorship, all of it." She looked at him, studying his face for the usual signs of impulse. There were none. Only intention. "You serious?" she asked. "Dead serious," he said. "We got the name already. The Rebuild. Fits right." For the first time in weeks, she laughed. "The Rebuild," she repeated, tasting the word. "Yeah, it fits." They spent the next days pouring time into the project. Local news picked it up quietly at first. Then bigger outlets followed. Headlines shifted. Yandy and Mendeecees turned scandal into service. Donations came in. Volunteers showed up. Fans who had once picked sides were now painting walls together. Something healing was happening. Not for TV, not for views, but for them. But even peace carries shadows. One night, while locking up the center, Mendeecees found a letter taped to the door. Plain paper. Typed message. "You may have moved on, but someone still owes me my cut." No signature. Just a familiar chill that crawled under his skin. He showed it to Yandy, trying to act calm. She read it once and said, "We're not playing that game anymore. Whoever it is, they want reaction. We're not giving it." He nodded, but she could see the worry hiding behind his eyes. Someone wasn't finished. The setup might have been exposed, but the people who built it were still in the background, still bitter, still watching. The next morning, security cameras caught a figure near the entrance, hood up, face hidden, dropping another envelope. Inside was a flash drive. Lisa advised them not to open it, but curiosity has its own gravity. They played it anyway. The footage showed clips from old unaired scenes, arguments, rehearsals, private moments they didn't remember consenting to film. The timestamp proved it was shot long before the scandal broke. The drive ended with a single title card. "You think this is over?" Mendeecees exhaled sharply. "They trying to scare us." "Then let them try," Yandy said, standing tall. "Fear's a currency I don't spend anymore." She took the drive, broke it in half, and threw it in the trash. "Don't spend anymore." She took the drive, broke it in half, and threw it in the trash. "We move forward. That's it?" For the first time, he smiled, not the tired, apologetic kind, but a real one. "You really done?" "Huh? Done letting them write my story." "Yeah," she said, "but the story itself, that's just getting good." As they locked up and walked to the car, the city lights flickered against the windshield. Atlanta's skyline glowed like something reborn. They drove off in silence, not because there was nothing left to say, but because for once, words weren't needed. The storm that had nearly broken them had left its mark, but it had also cleared the air. In the world of love and hip-hop, that almost never happens. But for Yandy and Mendeecees, this chapter wasn't about scandal anymore. It was about survival, choice, and the quiet kind of strength that doesn't trend but endures. The peace didn't last long. It never does in Atlanta, not when cameras, old grudges, and buried secrets share the same zip code. 2 weeks after the rebuild opened its doors, a blog dropped an anonymous blind item that hit like a match to gasoline. The post didn't name names, but everyone knew. A certain couple rebuilding their image after a text scandal might not be as united as they seem. Insiders claim another woman has stepped forward with receipts. By morning, the article had 1 million views. Gossip pages reshared it with emojis and captions like, "Here we go again." Producers called, pretending to check in but really fishing for permission to spin it. Lisa sent warnings. "Don't engage," she said. "Silence worked once. It'll work again." But Yandy could feel something different in her bones this time. The tone of the rumor was too calculated, the timing too sharp. Someone wanted to ruin the rebuild before it became their redemption. Mendeecees came home early that day, his jaw tight, his phone buzzing nonstop. "They saying it's a girl from the studio," he said flatly. "Some intern." Yandy didn't blink. "Is it true?" "No," he said quickly, too quickly. "She worked 1 shift. We talked about logistics. That's it. But now she claiming we went out after." "And did you?" He hesitated. Silence fell like a verdict. "We grabbed coffee," he said finally. "That's it?" She was asking about networking, trying to get advice. "I didn't think nothing of it." "You never do," she whispered. He looked at her, defensive. "So I can't talk to nobody now." "You can talk to whoever you want," she said. "Just don't hand strangers the bullets they'll shoot us with." The fight that followed wasn't loud, it was weary. It was 2 people who had been here too many times before, trapped between intention and perception. He swore again that nothing happened. She believed him halfway, which is worse than not believing at all. Halfway belief leaves space for doubt to grow teeth. By nightfall, the intern's name was everywhere. She posted screenshots, nothing incriminating, but enough to keep the story alive. Messages about meeting again and keeping it quiet. Blogs stretched the context until it broke. The internet didn't need proof. It needed momentum. At midnight, Yandy scrolled through comments until her hands trembled. "She never learns. He always finds a way. That woman deserves better." She turned her phone face down, then back up again, trapped between wanting to disappear and wanting to defend herself. The next morning, she called Lisa, set up a meeting with her. Yandy said, "The intern?" "Yeah, I need to look her in the eye." The meeting took place at a neutral cafe. No cameras, no entourage. The girl was young, early 20s, nervous but composed. She had that look of someone who didn't understand the scale of what she'd started. "Why?" Yandy asked simply. The girl hesitated. "I didn't mean for it to blow up like that. Someone reached out, said they'd pay if I gave them screenshots." "Who?" She shook her head. "They said they worked in promotion. I don't know their real name. They sent cash through Zelle. I just needed the money." Yandy's stomach turned. "You sold chaos for rent." The girl's eyes filled. "I'm sorry. I didn't think it'd get this big. I thought they'd post it once and it'd go away. Yandy leaned forward. Nothing ever goes away online. You don't just post and move on. You attach people's lives to lies. You hurt families. You hurt children. You hurt me? The girl nodded. Crying now. I'll post the truth. I'll say I lied. Don't, Yandy said. They'll twist it again. Just stay quiet. I'll handle the rest. She left the cafe shaking, a strange mix of fury and pity battling in her chest. She called Mendeecees. You were right, she said quietly. It wasn't you, it was them. But even truth couldn't stop what had already started. By evening, a new rumor spread. Yandy secretly paid off the girl to delete evidence. Fake receipts, fake DMs, fake everything. The same old trap, wrapped in a new headline. Mendeecees slammed his phone down. They'll never let us breathe, he said. Then we stop asking for air, she replied. She went live again that night. But not to defend, not to cry, not to plead. Her tone was cold steel. You want stories? Fine, here's one. A young girl got paid by a network ghost account to say what wasn't true. She thought she was helping herself. What she didn't know is she was helping the same people who've been trying to destroy us since the beginning. And I'm done letting them. Her followers flooded the chat with hearts, prayers, and fire emojis. But one comment stood out. A verified account with no profile picture wrote, "Be careful who you call them." The message was deleted seconds later, but not before screenshots circulated. Speculation turned into theories. Was it a producer? An executive? Another castmate? Lisa's phone rang all night. Lawyers got involved. Contracts were reviewed. The next morning, the blog that had started the intern rumor mysteriously shut down. Its archives vanished. Its social handles deleted. Fans speculated it had been sued or silenced. Yandy didn't confirm or deny. She just posted a single photo of sunrise over Atlanta with the caption, "Every storm ends the same way. Light winds." But in private, she knew the war wasn't over. These people didn't stop. They regrouped. And somewhere, behind another locked office door, someone was already drafting the next scandal. Mendeecees came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her shoulders. "We good?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, "We will be, but I'm not naive anymore." "Neither am I," he said. "We fight smarter now." And as the city lights flickered through their window, both of them knew the truth. They might never escape the drama, but they could finally control how the story ended. And this time, the cameras wouldn't get the last word. 2 nights later, Atlanta rain came down hard, the kind that cleans nothing and only makes the city smell like steam and dust. Thunder rolled far off, a slow reminder that peace is temporary here. Yandy couldn't sleep. She sat in the living room, phone in hand, scrolling through old photos back when everything still felt like progress. Mendeecees was upstairs, putting the kids to bed. For a moment, she wanted to delete it all, every app, every feed, every echo of their public life, but she knew better. You don't erase a storm by closing your eyes. A knock at the door broke her thoughts. It was soft, deliberate, not the kind that belongs to a stranger. She looked through the peephole and froze. Erica stood outside, soaked from the rain, hoodie up, eyes raw. Yandy hesitated, then opened the door halfway. "What do you want?" "To talk," Erica said quietly. "Please, just hear me out." Mendeecees came halfway down the stairs, tense. Yandy turned to him, her expression sharp. "It's fine," she said. "I got this." He nodded, reluctantly, and disappeared upstairs again. Erica stepped inside, dripping on the mat. "You look good," she said softly, almost awkwardly. "Don't start," Yandy replied. "Say what you came to say." Erica took a deep breath. "It's over. The network dropped me. Sponsors pulled out. My manager disappeared. I lost everything. And I need to tell you something before they bury me completely." Yandy crossed her arms. "What now?" Another twist. "No," Erica said, shaking her head. "It was me. Not all of it, but the start of it. The messages, the timing, the fake leaks. I didn't plan for it to blow up this bad, but I helped it move. The network wanted drama. I wanted revenge. You had the image, the respect, the perfect marriage. I had nothing. So when they offered money and airtime, I said yes." Yandy's mouth tightened. "You played me. You turned my pain into a season." "I know," Erica said, tears cutting through rain on her cheeks. "But it stopped being worth it the minute I saw how it broke you. I thought you'd bounce back like always. I didn't expect you to bleed." For a long time Yandy said nothing. The clock on the wall ticked like judgment. Then, finally, "Why now?" "Because I'm done lying," Erica whispered. "And because they're planning to do it again. Not to use someone else, a new cast member. They've been recycling storylines like laundry. I can't keep pretending this isn't destroying people. Yandy studied her face. The anger was still there, but behind it was something smaller: pity. Maybe you could have stopped this months ago. I know, Erica said, but I thought if I stayed useful, they'd let me breathe. They didn't. And now I need you to listen. Because I got proof. She pulled out her phone and opened a folder labeled Archives. Inside were voice notes, emails, production notes, and text threads between executives planning conflict arcs. One message read, "We need tension between Yandy and Erica. Egg ratings spike every time." Another, "If Mendeecees cooperates, we'll spin redemption next quarter." Yandy's hands trembled as she scrolled. This wasn't rumor. This was structure. Her pain had been scripted months in advance. Mendeecees came back downstairs. His voice was steady but low. "How'd you even get these?" Erica exhaled. "I recorded everything. They thought I was reckless. They didn't realize I was scared. You keep receipts when you know you'll be blamed." He looked at Yandy, then at the screen. "We could ruin them with this." "We could," Yandy said slowly, "but then we'd be just like them, using chaos for attention." "No, we do it right." Erica frowned. "What's right?" "Exposure without exploitation," Yandy said. "No interviews, no talk shows. We release the evidence quietly, let the truth do the talking." They spent the next day gathering everything. Lisa coordinated legal counsel. Scrappy used his contacts to trace leaks back to the digital department. By nightfall, they had a full dossier: names, receipts, contracts, everything. The release happened like a whisper. An anonymous drop to a journalist known for clean investigations. Within hours, the story hit national news. Network accused of fabricating scandals, exploiting real relationships for profit. Headlines rolled fast, each one sharper than the last. Producers scrambled. Executives denied. Lawyers spun. But the evidence was too clean, too organized. Fans were stunned. So it was all fake. One tweet said, "We've been watching people's real pain for entertainment." Another replied, "And paying for it with views." The fallout was instant. Sponsors froze budgets. Several cast members spoke out, confirming manipulation. Lawsuits followed. The network's reputation cracked in half. In the middle of that chaos, Yandy stayed silent. She didn't post. She didn't gloat. She just kept showing up to the rebuild, helping teens paint murals that said truth heals faster than lies. One afternoon, Erica joined her, sleeves rolled up, helping with paint. The kids recognized them, whispering, giggling, "You two friends again?" One asked innocently. Yandy smiled faintly. "Something like that." Mendeecees watched from across the room, shaking his head. "Never thought I'd see this," he said. Yandy shrugged. "Life's funny like that. One day you fighting on live, next day you sharing paintbrushes." By the end of the month, the network issued a public apology. It sounded corporate, rehearsed, and hollow, but it was something. They offered settlements. Yandy declined. Instead, she started a foundation under the same name as their center, the Rebuild Foundation. Its mission: protect reality TV talent from exploitation. Within weeks, donations poured in. Fans turned supporters. Industry insiders quietly reached out, wanting to partner. One night, as they locked up, Mendeecees asked, "You ever think we'd end up here?" "No," she said honestly, "but maybe this is where we were supposed to land. Not famous, not perfect, just real." He nodded. "You forgive her?" Yandy thought for a long time. "I forgive myself first for letting them use me. The rest'll come later." The city lights flickered across their faces as they walked out together. No cameras, no script, just the sound of their footsteps on wet pavement. Behind them, the mural gleamed under the streetlight of Phoenix rising from cracked paint. In a world that made money from brokenness, Yandy had finally learned how to turn her pain into purpose, and, this time, nobody else would profit from it. Weeks passed. Atlanta began to breathe again, and so did they. The frenzy faded the way storms always do, loud one moment, forgotten the next. Yandy noticed how quiet her phone had become. No new notifications screaming her name, no producers calling with opportunities, no gossip accounts tracking her every step. At first, the silence felt foreign, like a missing heartbeat. Then it started to feel like peace. She poured herself into the Rebuild Foundation. The walls were almost finished, painted with bright colors and words chosen by the kids. Growth, honesty, freedom. The noise of construction replaced the noise of headlines. When the local news came to film a short segment, she kept it brief. No speeches, she just said, "This space is where truth lives, even when the cameras don't." Mendeecees became the quiet backbone of it all. He taught the boys how to record music, how to build beats without breaking rules. They called him Og. He liked that more than cast. One afternoon, she caught him laughing with them, completely unguarded. She thought, "This is the man I fell in love with, not the one the show tried to script." But peace, even earned peace, carries ghosts. One morning, Lisa rushed in with her laptop open, eyes wide. "You need to see this," she said. A leaked internal memo from the network was circulating. They were planning a docusource at Talal about how reality collapsed. It listed names, including hers and Erica's, promising never-before-seen footage and private truths. Yandy's stomach dropped. "So they want to sell the cleanup now?" Lisa nodded grimly. "They're spinning it as transparency, a redemption season for themselves." Mendeecees slammed his fist lightly on the table. "They don't stop. They just change masks." Yandy stared out the window. The rain had started again, thin and constant. "Then we'll get ahead of them," she called Erica. "You seeing this?" Erica sighed through the phone. "Yeah, they offered me a check to participate. 5 figures. You taking it?" "No," Erica said firmly. "I already sold one lie. I'm not selling the truth to—" That night Yandy went live one last time. The room behind her was dark, except for a small lamp glowing gold. Her tone was calm, unshaken. "Some of you heard there's another show coming, something about the real truth. Here's my truth. I'm not filming it. I'm not signing another paper that lets someone edit my pain. The story's already told. I lived it. That's enough." The comments flew. Hearts, tears, applause, emojis, messages of respect. People felt the finality in her words. It wasn't a cliffhanger. It was closure. Days later, the network quietly scrapped the docus. Sponsors backed out, saying the optics weren't right. For once, money didn't win. When the dust finally settled, Yandy and Mendeecees took the kids on a trip. No press, no posts, no filters. They rented a small cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains. She left her phone on airplane mode. Nights were filled with fireflies and board games. Mornings with sunlight instead of alerts. Mendeecees grilled. The kids laughed. And for the first time in years, everything that mattered was right in front of them. One night, while sitting by the fire, he looked over at her. "You ever miss it? The fame? The noise?" She thought about it, then shook her head. "No. I used to think success was being seen. Now I know it's being safe." He smiled. "So we done with TV forever?" "TV maybe," she said, "but not with telling stories. We just do it our way now." Back in Atlanta, the Rebuild Foundation expanded faster than they'd imagined. Partnerships grew. Schools reached out. Fans turned into volunteers. Her message, "Truth heals faster than lies," started appearing on shirts, murals, and hashtags across the country. Even critics who once mocked her began quoting her words. Erica came by often, quieter than before. They weren't friends in the old sense, but something real had replaced rivalry, shared survival. Sometimes they laughed at the absurdity of it all. 2 women nearly destroyed by lies, now teaching others how to protect their truth. On the foundation's first anniversary, they hosted a small celebration. No press, no invitations, just the people who helped build it. As speeches ended, a teenage girl stepped forward, holding a painting she'd made for Yandy. It showed a woman standing in the middle of a storm, her reflection forming the shape of a phoenix. Across the top, she'd written, "You showed us what strength looks like when the world watches you break." Yandy held the painting to her chest. Her voice cracked slightly when she said, "Thank you." Later that night, when everyone had left, she stood alone in the hall, looking at the mural that started it all. The same one she and Mendeecees had painted months ago. It was chipped in places, uneven, but beautiful, like her life. He came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, and whispered, "We did it." "No," she said softly, "we survived it. Now we live." Outside, Atlanta glowed, still wild, still watching, but finally, for once, not in control. The storm had moved on, and in its place, something better had taken root. This time, no headlines followed, no producers called, no cameras rolled. It didn't need an audience. The story was theirs again. A few months passed before anyone said the word peace out loud, almost as if speaking it might break it. Atlanta shifted into summer, and the Rebuild Foundation grew into something bigger than they'd planned. Teachers began volunteering after hours. Local artists donated supplies. One of the older boys they'd mentored released his first song on streaming, crediting Mendeecees in the liner notes. It wasn't fame anymore, it was legacy. Yandy moved through her days with quiet rhythm. Mornings were for meetings, afternoons for the kids, evenings for family. She smiled easier now, laughed without checking if someone was filming. Still, sometimes at night, when the house was still, the old tension pressed at the edges of her peace. The habit of waiting for a headline. Still, the old tension pressed at the edges of her peace. The habit of waiting for a headline. A leak. A call that turned calm into chaos. Healing was slower than forgiveness. One evening, she got an invitation that made her heart pause. It was from a university in New York, her city. They wanted her to give a talk about media ethics and resilience in the entertainment industry. "We'd love for you to share your journey," the email read. She stared at it for a long while before replying, "Yes." When she told Mendeecees, he smiled. "You sure you're ready to go back to New York?" "I have to," she said. "That's where I learned how to fight. Maybe it's where I finally learn how to let go." The flight felt strange, familiar, and foreign all at once. As the plane touched down at JFK, memories flooded her. The early years, the ambition. The first time she believed being seen meant being valued. New York had made her, but it had also used her. The lecture hall was packed. Cameras rolled, not the tabloid kind, but university press. Young faces filled the seats, eager, curious. When she stepped up to the podium, the applause was soft but real. She took a breath. "People love to talk about reality," she began, "but nobody tells you that reality TV is often neither. It's a mirror that only shows what sells. And if you're not careful, you start believing that version of yourself too." I did. The room went silent. "The hardest part wasn't being lied about," she continued. "It was watching myself become someone I didn't recognize just to keep up with the lie. I used to think exposure was power. Now I know privacy is." After her talk, students lined up to speak with her. One young woman said, "You made me rethink what success means." Another hugged her, whispering, "Thank you for surviving out loud." That night, walking through Harlem, Yandy felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not the city, not the fame, but herself. Back in Atlanta, Mendeecees met her at the airport with flowers and the kids. "How was it?" he asked. "Healing," she said. "You think you're done telling the story now?" She smiled. "No, I think I just started telling the right version." Weeks turned into months again. The foundation opened a second location, then a third. Sponsors who once chased drama now funded development programs. Erica ran workshops on media manipulation, teaching young influencers how to keep ownership of their image. People started calling them the rebuild movement. Still, one last ripple of the past found its way back. A reporter from a major outlet reached out, saying they were writing a retrospective on love and hip-hop, where it started, where it ended. They wanted Yandy's perspective. She agreed, but on her own terms. No cameras, no scripts, just a conversation. The article, when it came out, surprised everyone. The headline read, "Yandy Harris, From Storyline to Legacy." The piece painted her not as a victim of scandal but as a blueprint for rebirth. The writer ended it with a quote from her interview, "Fame gave me a platform. Truth gave me purpose. I'll choose purpose every time." After it published, she got messages from old castmates, some apologetic, some reflective. Even the network sent flowers, unsigned but obvious. She didn't respond. Some closures don't need words. One quiet Sunday, she sat on the porch with Mendeecees, the kids playing in the yard, the sun sinking low. He looked over and said, "Crazy how we went from fighting on live to building community centers." She laughed softly. "Crazy how we survived being everyone's entertainment and still found our own peace." He nodded. "You think the world will ever stop wanting the drama?" "No," she said, "but we stopped feeding it." As twilight settled, the sound of laughter filled the yard. She leaned her head on his shoulder, content in a way she hadn't believed was possible. No cameras, no edits, no audience, just truth, unpolished and whole. And somewhere in that stillness, she realized the story wasn't about survival anymore. It was about arrival. For the first time in a long time, Yandy was exactly where she was meant to be. And now that the whole truth is out, you have to ask yourself, what did we really learn from this story? Because it was never just about Yandy, Mendeecees, or even Erica. It was about what happens when love, loyalty, and reputation get tangled up in the machinery of entertainment. It was about how easy it is for a story to get rewritten when too many hands hold the pen. And how rare it is for anyone to take that pen back. Fans watched every twist unfold, every betrayal replayed, every rumor inflated until it became its own truth. And somewhere between the headlines and the hashtags, the real people got lost. But Yandy found her way back, and she did it by doing what most people in her position never dare to do. She stopped performing and started healing. She chose silence over spectacle, truth over ratings, and family over fame. If you've followed this whole journey, you know how heavy that choice was. You've seen the fights, the tears, the way love tried to survive under a microscope. You've seen how easily words like loyalty and trust become weapons when the world is watching. But through all of it, she reminded us that strength isn't loud, it's consistent. Strength is showing up the next morning, even when your name's been dragged all night. Strength is forgiving what you can and walking away from what you can't. And maybe that's what this story was always about. Not just about love and hip-hop, not just about Atlanta drama, but about reclaiming peace in a world that profits from your pain. Yandy didn't win because she got the last word, she won because she stopped needing it. She built something real out of something fake. She turned the ashes of her public chaos into a foundation that's helping real people build honest lives. And that's the kind of ending no network can script. So, to everyone watching, to everyone who's been through their own kind of public heartbreak, or private betrayal, or silent rebuild, this is your reminder. Your story isn't over just because someone else tries to rewrite it. You can take the narrative back anytime. Maybe you're not standing on a stage or in front of a camera, but you're still the main character in your own life. And you get to decide whether you live in the drama or move toward peace. Look at what she did. When the world tried to define her, she built a new one. When they threw dirt on her name, she planted something that grew. And when they told her to keep quiet, she used her voice for something that mattered. That's what growth looks like. It's not glamorous. It's not trending, but it's real. And that's the thing about reality. Real doesn't always make headlines, but it always lasts longer. So here's what I want you to do. If this story made you feel something, if you've ever watched someone get torn down and wished they'd find their light again, go ahead and show love. Hit that like button. Drop a comment below and tell us, what would you have done in Yandy's place? Would you have stayed silent, fought back, or walked away completely? Because everyone says they'd choose peace, but peace takes courage. Let's see how real that courage looks in the comments. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe, because this channel isn't just about gossip, it's about growth. It's about the people behind the headlines, the lessons inside the chaos, and the truth that hides in every rumor. We bring you stories that remind you that even when the world thinks you're breaking, you can still rebuild. Next time you scroll through another scandal or see a headline that looks too wild to be real, remember this one. Remember how a woman who was once the center of Atlanta drama turned herself into the center of change. Remember that behind every viral clip is a human being with a heartbeat, a home, a history. And if you take one message from this whole thing, let it be this. The same world that loves to watch you fall will pretend they helped you up when you stand again. So don't fall for applause, fall for purpose. And to Yandy's fans, the ones who stuck with her through every storm, you already know what to do. Flood the comments with hearts, prayers, and positivity. She doesn't need validation, but she deserves appreciation. Let her know that the rebuild wasn't just a foundation, it was a movement. Because at the end of the day, we all have something to rebuild. Maybe it's trust. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe it's a version of ourselves that got lost somewhere between expectation and exhaustion. Whatever it is, this story is proof that you can start over no matter who tried to end your chapter. This isn't the kind of ending that fades to black, it's the kind that fades to real life. The kind where people finally stop performing and start living. The kind where growth doesn't need a camera to count. So as we close this chapter, remember, stories like this don't end, they evolve. Yandy's peace didn't come from walking away from the spotlight. It came from walking toward herself. And if you've ever been lost in noise and line at work, in love, maybe it's time you do the same. Take back your narrative. Rebuild from wherever you are. You don't need the world's permission to heal. And that's the truth. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for supporting the kind of stories that show both the chaos and the comeback. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Because this season, we're focusing on more than just the drama, we're focusing on the recovery, the redemption, and the real. Leave your thoughts below. Whose story do you want us to uncover next? What lesson should we highlight? What truth deserves to be told? What lesson should we highlight? What truth deserves to be told? Your comments shape what we create next. And before you go, take one deep breath. Remember that peace is power, and that no matter how messy your life looks, it can still become your masterpiece. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and never forget, truth heals faster than lies. This is your host, signing off. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing. And thank you for being part of a story that proves no scandal, no rumor, and no edit can stop someone who's finally living their truth.